Greetings. Welcome to Can TV Live. I am your hostess with the mostest, Sister Yas Simpson. I am the community epidemiologist for Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, where we bring science to the people. Tacts is always about making sure that science is present in our communities. I got a couple announcements to make tonight because I am feeling it today, honey. I also want you to know that if you had questions about anything to do with our health outcome, health indexes, I am also able to answer some of those questions, and if I can't, I can point you into the right direction. You can call in live at 312-736-1060, and you would be able to talk to our people's counselor, Mr. Charles Patton. He is on the live line waiting for your call. But as always, we definitely want to make sure we tell you what Tacts is all about. We are about increasing diversity into clinical trials research. Yes, I said clinical trials research. And I know for some people that's a little bit off-putting, but that's why we were working under the construct of what we say health equity. Health equity. So what is health equity? Is health equity health equality? No. I don't want to be equally sick. Health equity is about making sure you get the right resources that you need when you need them. And so as you can see, equality is everybody having the same box. Equity is about people getting the box that they need to make sure that they can see over the top or acquire the best health possible. We call that optimal health. Now, how do you know when you have optimal health? Well, it's several factors or indices that go into that. And one of the main ones that we deal with, in my recollection, is when I work on data, is life expectancy. What does life expectancy mean? It means how long do you expect to live? And with Tacts, we're always speaking life into truth. And one of the things that we know is life expectancy among Black men is the lowest among all populations of people. Here in Chicago, life expectancy on average is about 77 years old. But for Blacks, it is only 72 as compared to whites, where it's 79, and Latinos, which is 80, and Asians, which is Asian Pacific Islanders and Alaskan Natives, they have a life expectancy of 81 here in the city of Chicago. So everybody else is, all three groups are above the 77 average, and the only one below is Blacks, which is at 72 years old. I didn't tell you that to make you feel bad and go, oh no, what's wrong? We never do well. I told you that to inspire you. Let's at least aspire to get above average. So if we're at 72 this year, can we push it up to 76 next year? We can do it. And the way we do it is by dealing with health equity. We are trying to get our most optimal health possible. So let's look at what that looks like in a triangle. Again, we have people that you can see, the public change, which is the policies. We have programs, which has to deal with our policies and our services. And then, of course, we always are dealing with data and research from our institutions. And more importantly, we need to always make sure we deal with us, the community. That's the triangle. You can't talk about the other two without doing the one yourself, and you are responsible for your own best health. But I'm going to help you get there if you want to listen and assist. The things that you can do is individual, family, then of course your community, and then I'm going to be talking much more of a population base, which we're saying city-state. That's right, I'm introducing new language. We need to build our city-states or our nation-states, especially for those of us who are trying to improve our life expectancy. So that means that Blacks who have low life expectancy need to go through all those channels, which is individual, families, communities, and then as we move further out, I'm going to use the term nation states, where we are starting to develop who we are and what we are to do to make us a better people in this nation and around the world. We are global people, honey. So that's one of the things we talk about with health equity. What I also want to get into really quickly, I had a fantastic experience. I usually don't talk like this about any type of conference or summit, but let me say, I went to a conference that had an impact on my psyche. Not everything was great because I had to finagle to get in. But I made it in thanks to some people who really believed in what I was trying to do. And I was able to go to this conference. Now, I don't know if you knew anything about it, but it was called the Equity Summit of 2018. It was held here from April 11th through the 13th. It was at the Hyatt Regency and also the Radisson Helps. And it was called Our Power, Our Future, and Our Nation. And as you can see, there were all kind of symbols on here. The indigenous people, Black, Latino, Asian, Pacific Islander, Arab, multicultural, mixed, brown, white, person of color, woman, child, transgender, bisexual. Oh, it's all those labels, honey. And the thing is I'm feeling like overwhelmed with that. But I had to really take it home. I had to say, what does that mean to me? And of course, I wanted to be cynical. It's nothing they're going to say at this conference I've never heard of. But guess what? There was. You ready for this? One of the, I went to about 3 or 4 different workshops and, of course, the plenary at the end. I was only able to attend 2 of the 3 days that they had it. But anyway, one of them was about closing. They used the word ending mass incarceration. Now, when you first read that, you like, really? Really? In this country? We were started by mass incarceration. More specifically, this country was hell-bent on enslavement of people, specifically Africans. And so, how are you going to end mass incarceration? Well, you know what the aha moment was for me? Well, why would I ask for health equity? You ask for what it is you want. They wanted to end mass incarceration, just like I want to promote health equity. And in this particular packed out room with well over 100 people in there, 3 individuals were on the panel. One of them, his name was George. I'm blanking right this second. George, and another one was Byron out of New Jersey. George is out of California. Byron was out of New Jersey. And then the third individual, I didn't remember his name, but all 3 of them, especially George and Byron, really focused on how to end mass incarceration among youth. So actually, Byron from New Jersey did end it. Some of you all may have heard that my colleagues actually had heard about it. So he did get one of the prisons closed. That means his presidents. That means in the United States, a black man in New Jersey got a prison that was just for young black boys and some Hispanic boys. He got the prison closed, repurposed for affordable housing and more corrective approach to their skills and knowledges and moving through their life and being more productive citizens. Why can't we do that throughout the United States? And George from California is very much a machismo, and he was promoting that in California, that not only are they targeting black and brown young men, but they're also looking at their immigration status. They're looking at some of their other things they don't get as far as economics and hardships. And they were trying to say, why are you doing prison to pipeline from school right to prison policies? They wanted end it now, not tomorrow, not maybe, end it. Powerful. So I got to experience that. And another thing I got to experience, again, looking at this particular conference, look at all these things that was being displayed. I also got to present some data a little bit on the Chicago Health Atlas, but that's another day. I also got to spend some time at the plenary where I was able to meet some dynamic people that was on a panel. And one of those people was Mr. Michael Tubbs, the youngest black mayor in the entire United States, and he's right out of California. And not only did I get to meet him, I also got to meet Carmen Lopez and the other guests that was on the panel who were able to tell their story about what it is they did and when they did it. I apologize for not being able to show actually everybody in their pictures, but I definitely wanted you to know that even if you couldn't see this, that some of the speakers on this panel were outstanding. They represented people that was from the Native American group, and they also represented people that was from some of what we call the Latinas and Latino groups, and more importantly, like Lori Poster, and then there was another young man who was Tariq Millen. I'm trying to pronounce his name right. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because he identified himself as transgendered male. Flooring, outstanding, because you would not be able to tell. You're like, yes, I would. No. And he told a most riveting story that had to do with his mother accepting his pronouns for wanting to go from female to male. And unfortunately, as time went on, she had cancer. She got to her demise. They had to come in. Of course, he made it to the room just before she passed away. His sisters were there. And of course, his sisters were being condescending about his new identity as being a male. But with her last dying breath, y'all, she called out to her son and she said, he. It was the first time that young man had heard his mother refer to him as a he. And then she passed away. So he got that closure. Not tell you, everybody was weeping in the building. It wasn't a dry eye to be found. And that was because it was human based. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And he had a profound human experience of that of love unconditionally. And I was reminded to seeing when reading my guru after actually a few years, but right back on the bike, as I would say, we got right back on the path and talked about the thing is ascending and transcending to be a first-class human being first before you can get to that of being enlightened. So we're not going to get into all of those things, but those are some metaphysical principles that we definitely need to take up. I am bringing this up because, again, I wanted you to know about this conference or summit, as they called it. So if anybody knows anything or went to it, please call. You can call me if you'd like and let me know your experience. But 312-735-1060. But I want you to know that this was national. In fact, might have been international because I think I saw more Africans from continent. But the point being is that this was a very well organized summit, and how many people in Chicago really knew? And it was sold out, by the way. So you couldn't just walk in. Well organized from my vantage point, and they also gave a lunch. I was surprised, but they did it. So I was so happy to be there. I got an opportunity to meet the CEO, Mr. Jackson of Policy Link, who is one of the conveners of this particular summit. I was elated to be in a place where people seem more like-minded like me, who dare to ask, what is it that we want and how do we want it? And the question of when we want it was always now. That was my ilk of people. I was excited to be with them. In fact, let me show you a picture of them, of some of them, because I want you to see what it is I saw. Now, here it is. Remember where I talked about George, as you can see on your far left with the brim on, and myself? That is George, and he was the bomb. He was the one out of California that said no more mass incarceration for youth. The next picture that's in the middle is Bidime, and Abidame is Nigerian, and she's one of my sister loves. She is the director for Asian and African Health here in Chicago. Then we have the youngest, as I stated, the next picture over, the youngest mayor in the whole United States, Mr. Michael Tubbs himself, out of being a mayor in California. And again, you heard me mention Carmen. You know, Carmen is Lopez, of course, she is one of the, Carmen Perez is one of the people who is with, that we talk about her agency, and she's with the executive director of the Gathering for Justice. And the only reason I bring her up is because she is the young lady that works with Hilary Belafonte. Down at the bottom, you see a picture of me and an Asian-looking man. This was the man that was responsible for making sure that my acquisition into the summit was a smooth and nice one. I took a picture of the panel, but you can see it was very dark in there, but it was well panned out, and more importantly, it was extremely packed. I mean, it had to be, I said, well over 400 or 500 people in that one space alone, and I'm not even sure how many people attended the conference. And finally, the last picture to your right at the bottom, yes, this is the young man that Tariq, who transitioned from, or transformed or transgendered from female to male. Outstanding, right? I thought it was beautiful. And more importantly, the story that he told about the resilience of wanting to be who you are on the inside, and then having the confidence, including your mother, to have to come to understand who you are. So those were some fantastic aspects of the conference, networking, and more importantly, hearing people claim that this is what I want to do. This is the way it should be, not just because it's the way it is, but I can change it because I'm here and I'm changing it today. That's what Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trials, is all about. One of the other things that we're about, though, is going to come up in May. Okay? So May is going to be what I call, the month of May is going to be the Queen Mother's Spirit Warriors month, or the Sisters of the Celestial Waters month. In May, we not only talk about Mother's Day on the 13th, but on May 11th, we're going to be doing the Women's Social. So I want you all to come out for that. May is going to be a packed month for me. That's why it is the month of Mother's Spiritual Warriors, or for those who identify as Sisters of the Celestial Waters, where we are going to be solution oriented. My announcement to you today is no more usage of the term white supremacy. I will be standing on the shoulders of my elders and ancestors, which one of them is specifically speaking is Amos Wilson, who wrote The Falsification of the African Consciousness. And I was so moved by his writings. Of course, he's got Blueprint for Black Power, and you know I didn't get through that whole book. But I'm moved by him to stand on his shoulders to propel us as a people forward. And in there, he talks about the terminology of white supremacy. Now, mind you, this book wasn't even, it was out in about the 80s or the 90s. He's unfortunately has passed away since then. But he talked about that concept of white supremacy. And then I saw it on the page. The complexity of white supremacy. So I no longer will use the term of white supremacy because they are not supreme to me. We will destruct that construct. And now we will deal with white complexity, because I can solve a complex problem, honey. Ask for what it is you want. This is that year. If you want health equity, ask. If you want to end mass incarceration among youth, ask. If you want to deconstruct a concept what has put you down and under, then say it, stand on it, self-determine and claim it. I only will now address white supremacy construct as white complexity. From now on, for the rest of this breath and this body, it is white complexity, because a complex is something I can solve. Supreme, no, they are not, because I am birthed and born and incited by that which has created the sun. That's what I am. And therefore, there is no supreme over me. I can deal with complex situations, but there is no supreme than other than that which created the sun. Now, whatever name you want to call it or give it or how you want to address it or describe it, quantify it and qualify it is yours, because I'm into that too. But it is that which created the sun that created me. So there is no supremacy over me. It is white complexity from now on. So if knowing that, we will have a series from the House of Imhotep. We will be doing a series of the Queen Mother Spirit Warriors and the Sisters of Celestial Waters. Will be every Sunday except for the 13th. We will have and be hosting a facilitation or a lecture or group. If you're interested in that, you can give us a call here, or you can call me directly at 312-961-6189. But if you want to call, the call in live is 312-7 I sometimes can't see it, 738-1060. But I want you to recognize that we are now going to be the solutions to our own problems. We are the change that we're waiting for. So on the Sundays, May 6th, we will be having a facilitated group that will be honoring and digesting and discussing the tenements of Dr. John Henry Clarke. And we will listen to what it is he said and where can we see the solutions from that. May the 20th, yours truly, Queen Mother Sister Yacht. I'm going to be laying it down again, doing it what so above is so below, and dealing with health equity. What you don't know may be killing you, but the secret is you already dying. So let's live. Let's live. And we're going to talk about the tenements of nature and, of course, of universal laws and principles, and then we're going to get to solutions. We will not be spending much time, if any, very little time on problems. We will be spending time on these are the constructive solutions that we hope to pull forth in our communities. And I've already given you the units of which we're looking at that, but we are moving toward from community to what I'm calling city-states, or some people may say state-nations or nation-states. You've heard that comment before. If you didn't already know, the Vatican is a nation-state, so we have presidents for that. So let me just show you real quickly, because we're about to wrap up. This is going to be our annual 2018 8th Annual Women's Health Careers Networking Show. So we do this every year for the past at least 8 years. We've done it a little bit before that at Malcolm X College, but this year, unfortunately, we will be at Mercy. We will not be at Mercy Hospital this year. We're going to be at the 5820 East 26th Street. For more information, again, you can see my person and make sure that you get all the details. You can contact us at tactsforus@gmail.com or 312-961-6189. I want to thank you all for tuning in, for those who did. And guess what? This is always going to be on YouTube, and more importantly, supporting CAN TV, where we have an opportunity to present ourselves to the community. I want to thank you all because I'm excited about this. The month of May, I'm going to be excited and tired, but it's because I am talking about the living and speaking not just truth to power, because I'm powerful, but I'm going to be speaking truth as in a solution-based movement. We are now going to speak that type of language. So it won't just be speaking truth to power, and people in power don't change. But when I change, things change. So thank you so much, and we hope again that we get to see you at these events. More information, you can contact my person, Sister Yah Simpson. I am your hostess with the mostest for your Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, your community epidemiologist. And I want to thank my partner, Mr. Charles Patton, who is the People's Counselor. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in May.